I always like to tell people how in the past, when I tried to apply for milestone funding, at that time, their office is in Hamilton. So I drop off the kids to school in the morning, drive all the way down to Hamilton where there was old Hamilton motorway, make sure that I finish before 1 o'clock so I can drive all the way back to Auckland to pick up my kids.
Oh my God.
But
Wow.
that effort that I put in actually secure Lanya's funding for the whole year.
Wow. Welcome, Eva. So this is the time I have you on my podcast. Thank you so much. In case people haven't heard about you, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Eva. I was born and raised in Taiwan and came to New Zealand as an international student. Then I settled, have grown my family. I've got 4 kids, age up to date is 20, 18, 14, and 12. They're all big now.
If people don't know, we know each other for today. What I really hope that we can talk about is your amazing work, which is through Wellbeing Charitable Trust.
Where should we start? So Wellbeing Charitable Trust was established between us because we want to help people, to empower our people. I wanted to start with parenting because at that very time, I only have 2 babies. And so I engage with different parents and see the same questions keep coming up: family issues, in-law issues, mental health, stress, the avoidance of talking about postnatal depression, the sleepless nights, and those anxiety of not being able to go back to work.
I think also just to highlight, you are truly advocating for Chinese migrants' mom. And also, I think what was the biggest challenge, as you say, is people don't understand there is nothing and no service that was available for Chinese migrants' parents, especially as you say, even when you start advocating for it, people don't even know there were issues.
I mean, the advocating goes both sides, to the systems and organizations in New Zealand and to the Chinese parents in New Zealand. I remember there was a time that we got told to review the family violence booklets. And then I had to go back to them and say, we need to start from the very scratch of what is family violence, what's included in family violence. And that's what our people don't know. Then I got shut down because they've got all the documents ready and they don't want to redo it. But which
No,
is understandable, because that's also the other thing that we keep telling people is that you need to come to us early. Once you've got everything ready, then it's too hard to change it if it's not quite right. And it took several years for them to come back second round and say, can you have a look at this one?
Yeah, because for the traditional way, family violence, people only thinking about physical harm. They didn't think about psychological or even money control, right? Threatening their visa status, and all that wasn't captured in family harm.
Those moms being restricted not to leave home is actually family violence, but people don't see it as family violence. And for those moms who can't go out, being restricted at home, not being able to engage with other people, not being able to build the human connections, it's actually really bad for their recovery if they have postnatal depression.
Yeah. And which is what you witness as well, because many Chinese mom or wife do not understand the concept of family harm. So to them, they don't see they're being abused. They just thought, oh, my husband told me not to go out.
But then what can you do? They are here and their husband's family is probably all they have.
And that is just some of the work you did, because you've done Chinese family parenting program specifically designed for Chinese mom as a migrant and having in Chinese language Mandarin.
Yes, I think we
And
were
then,
one of the first. Yes. So where it started was someone posted something on Sky Kiwi, and that starts very aggressive conversation. People were sharing their views, and this is where we got our facilitator, Lenya, to share. This is how she learned, how she see things in New Zealand, and she's got lived experience with her babies. And then she started to have this platform on Sky Kiwi to talk about her concept or her idea of parenting and how she talked to other people. And it's really systematic. I think that rather than experience sharing that here's how you do, here's what you do, she does have a system as this is what you do from 0 to 3 months and 3 to 6 months. She break it into stages. So my baby is at 9 months. Here's what I can expect for the next few months' time. What I found is it's actually ease the stress, the anxiety.
Mm,
Because it's not what you
mm,
don't know what's going to happen. At that time, we're talking about 20 years back.
mm,
There's not such information in Chinese, and internet wasn't as developed. So you either have the old-fashioned parenting book, which published like what, donkey years, not really work for Western life, those kind of things. And so having her being able to talk to these parents in Mandarin in a systematic way is very important. So I reached out to her and said, are you happy to deliver the workshops? And at that time, we don't have online options. It's always in person. So as soon as you want to do the parenting course, it comes at cost. You need to hire the venue. You need to think about the catering. You need to think about the parking. You need to think about people who's coming, those kind of things that it's not just let's have a workshop. There's a lot of planning behind it. And that's where we met the challenges. People like, yes, why do you want to register your organization? Why don't you want to work with so and so and so? That's one of the things that when small or newly established organization came to me, I am happy to help because I knew how difficult it is.
And people don't understand even at the time, no one take it seriously because it was seen as a migrant's issues. And people who give you advice do not understand there's no such a role available as well. It's not something that you can just find in the
Mm,
communities. And having a smaller NGO set out at the time also give you the legitimacy to apply for funding, and which is quite often for bigger organization, they wouldn't be able to move as fast
mm,
because they have to go through a lot more layers of approving. So there was an advantage if it isn't that, I mean, like, because you see what is needed
mm,
and
mm.
then you did it anyway. There were a lot more things that you did after that. Then do you want to share that?
The first couple of years are the most interesting years because we're such a newly established small organization. So we're free to do what we want to do. And it was okay to fix with my tunnel vision that this is what I want to do with the people and don't have to worry about the office politics because we don't even have an office. But that also comes with challenges is that those funder organizations, they actually want to hear that your big vision or what do you want to see your organization in the next 3 to 5 years? Those kind of questions. And at the time, I don't even know how to answer that. If I can deliver the workshop for this year, that's good enough. And that was the interesting part. We want to fix what happens on the ground by baby steps. But the founders want to hear, what do you want to do in 5 years' time? I mean, how do I know where I'm going to be in 5 years' time at that very moment?
You say you saw the issue, it needs to be fixed and need to do it right now. You can't wait because all these moms needing information right now.
Yeah.
There's no one doing it.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, 3
so
months' time,
yeah,
their baby's going to go to the next stage.
yeah, they can't wait. And you say 5 years from now, let's just fix this one first and see where that can take us.
Yeah. 5 years' time, we'll be talking about primary schools. So the baby issues are not relevant anymore. So why do I want to talk about 5 years
Mm,
when this mom struggling with her own postnatal depression or family relationship because of lack of sleep and support? I mean, to be honest, if we don't do anything, we don't even know if this mom's going to survive for the next 2 years. So
absolutely.
that's a lot of hitting the wall. There's a lot of cold faces. There's a lot of questions that as a new starter,
Mm,
I don't know how to answer. But there's always people that with passion to the communities are open to listen. I remember we have this interview with Cox people. They came and I was so stressed out. That probably is one of my first formal meetings with the
Mm,
founders. I was asking you, what do I say? And you said, just share the story. So I
mm.
did. Then, because it's genuine, real story, and it's not like big numbers, it's just one family or two, then they got our ideas and then we got supported. Then that's where I see this is how it's going to work. I'm not going to go to big people and say, I need to do this and that for the next 3 years. I'll break it into small pieces and then I'll just talk to one person at a time and see how far we can go. And that's how everything started, I would say. I mean,
Yeah.
thanks to Skip, they do secure our first year's work. And otherwise, I wouldn't have the stories to share. But then afterwards, it's all different kind of trying and training myself and talking to you and talking to Annalise, talking to Josie, those all sort of questioning, how do I do it?
Yeah, because you were really passionate about the issue and not yet exposed to the system itself because you have many stories from the migrants and Chinese parents and you saw the issues.
Mm.
Because navigating through funding stream, talking to funder, and also finding out how then you can get support to support those families is not that straightforward. Would you like to share some of the stories that you heard and consequently became an action?
Yes, I always tell people about in the very early years when Hamilton in Auckland has only the old motorway, and one of our funders is in Hamilton. So I have to make the appointment and drop off my kids in the morning, drive all the way from Auckland to Hamilton just to have a couple of hours meeting. And as soon as I arrive, I tell them that I've got a lot to say, but I need to leave before 1 o'clock because I need to pick up my kids at 3. So we had those good hours of talk about how things were progressing from the parents, how we grow from 6 families in the WeChat group to 500 and what's the need there and how do we support the moms, how do they build the relationship between themselves. And at the time I left, I was driving on the way back to Auckland and thinking that not quite sure how it's gonna end it because it's going to leave them to make the decision. So I was driving and thinking that I hope this 4 hours driving is worth it and then all that. Then we actually got secured for the next year also to deliver the workshops, not only in one area of Auckland. I think we cover 3 areas of Auckland, Auckland West, Auckland North, and Central Auckland.
Wow. So the WeChat group grew from just few family to how many, Vivian?
We actually end up 2 groups before our facilitators moved overseas. So the maximum number of WeChat is 500. So we
Wow.
grew from 6 families to 500 within the first 3 years. Then we
Wow.
grew to the second group that also reached their maximum in about 6 months' time. So what I want to say is that a lot of people coming from overseas have that very fast moving lifestyle. They think things happening in New Zealand is so slow, but what we happen here is that yes, it's very, very slow for the first few years. But
Mm.
once you establish the good working reputation, it actually just grow really fast.
I want to highlight that is how many family you have helped.
And then,
Yeah.
like we were talking about this, that one family is not just the couple. It's the
Yeah.
grandparents, it's the children. So it's about 5, 6 people that we're working with.
Yeah. Wow. Yep.
Then we have these workshops, and we probably are one of the few workshops that you have fathers involved. So
Mm.
it's not only mom with their babies, their fathers there too, and the grandparents too. I do have this, he's a grandfather, and
Mm.
he said that I'm just here because my daughter-in-law told me about you guys. And the parenting concept is so different from what I was brought up. So I'm here to prove you wrong. And we were like, oh, that's very nice to say because we were very new at the time. And
Mm.
in our culture, you're supposed to very respectful to the elders.
Mm.
So at that time, I was like, oh, what am I going to say to him and all that? But then towards after one complete session, he came and said, actually, the core value is the same, but the way you did it is better. And then he
Wow.
shared his story that, 'cause you know how we been treated, if you make mistakes around your parents, you get smacked right away and got told off and got yelled at, those kind of things. But he does share his own story that his grandson broke something. And then as soon as the grandson did it, he looked at his grandfather in a very fearful way that he knows what's supposed to be coming. And at the time, the grandfather was very pissed off, but he took a deep breath, and this is how I'm going to exercise what I learned from the workshop. So he took a deep breath and said, I know you didn't mean to do it. This is broken and I'm not happy. I'd like you to clean up the mess. So him and the 3-year-old will clean up whatever the mess it was. And the grandson was so relieved that he got to clean with the grandfather instead of got a total from.
Wow.
And I thought it was a very beautiful story. The consistency of sharing the experience and then knowledge or information can actually change someone's behavior.
Mm.
And then there's a few more stories like the grandchildren came home because they've been too excited to eat. And in our tradition, they'll get told off, they'll be forced to eat, or they'll have no food to eat, either way. But then he reflect to what we show their parents in the workshop and say that, I know you guys are not hungry, so we're going to have our food and this are going to leave on the table until so-and-so time. If you get hungry before that, come and have your food. Otherwise, I'm going to pack it away and you guys just need to find your own food. Then after a few hours before he packed away, the grandchildren actually come in and have their later dinner. And it was not a big thing. It's not forcing everyone to sit around the table at the same time. Kids got upset, adults got upset, nothing like that. I know things sometimes happen. You take your time, I take my time. And that was the evening.
Mm. So they
And
really changed the way, like imposing their values, instead making adjustments and letting their grandchildren or children exercise their own choices, autonomy and self-determinations and being their own agent. It is amazing. It's hard coming from collective culture because elderly usually right. So you just do what you're supposed to do.
I think for a grandfather to make such a change is huge. And then because the grandfather does that, it's kind of agreeing with what the mother's doing. And it encouraged the mother to be more confident in her parenting style. I think it
Wow.
just have multiple layers. And then I'm sure he's one of those white ribbon person.
Wow, that's amazing. Also, he also helped with the against family harms for the Chinese communities.
Mm,
Oh, wow. There's a thing, there is a story, there is the power of community,
yes.
isn't it? Like you meet people, you really get to know them, you hear their story, and through what you and Lenya did, you really transform that person and then they became the champion. What better story there is to share? And because you saw the issue and you stepped in and helped to create a platform for all these people.
One of the things is that these people, they also want to make a difference. We
Mm.
can't force them, but our gap at that time is that people want to make a difference, but they have no support or no channel to support them to be a different person.
So let's move on to other works that you have done through Wellbeing Charitable Trust.
Yep. I'm going to go back to fundraising nights. There was
Yeah.
this Auckland network. And in
Yeah.
the past, they had ASB support this fundraising events. Every year, they will pick 3 organizations to present in front of a huge audience who came and ready to support. And at the time, I was struggling to pick up my stories, but we only have 3 to 5 minutes because there's 3 organizations. We actually make appointment, and at the time you have to travel to their office, sit down and share the stories. As soon as I lay out all the stories and tell them, they pick one and say, focus on this one. This is your point of difference. And we were talking about one of the mom family violence cases. And it's not from the husband, it's from the parent-in-law.
Mm.
And so I did that. And at the night, we had 5,000 something donation from the audience. And that is one of the eye-opening things is that, first of all, this is my very first experience staying on the stage, sharing the work to the massive audience that I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Public speak is not a big thing, but it's not a comfortable thing either.
Yes.
and I have to use that in English.
Wow. When was
And
that, Eva?
that's in 2015, I think. It was a good learning because I'm so not used to have the story structured. And all I have in mind is that this mom cannot be identified because I don't want to make any more stress on her life. But then this is a very good story to share.
Yes.
So, and struggling between what I know and what I'm supposed to do and what people probably will hear. A very good progress though. The network, I think it's called the Funding Network, probably.
Yeah.
But then they disestablished after COVID because everything just went south.
Uh,
It's a good experience. And this very mom we were talking about, she's very good. She has her own professional skills. And then she got married. Their husband is very controlling. And she actually is a daughter, not a son. So that's another thing. And the parents-in-law are not happy. She was not able to breastfeeding. She was trying to work because if she doesn't, like you say, finance control. She
mm,
doesn't work. The parents-in-law had talked her down and said that you're useless person in the house. You only spend my son's money. Those kind of
mm,
things. So she had to find a part-time job thanks to her profession. She could. Then she came home realizing that her daughter was starving. And she
mm.
doesn't understand because her daughter is on bottle feeding. So how could she be so starving? And then the mother-in-law casually tell her that, well, I think the baby formula is very good, so I had it instead of feeding her daughter. And then mother-in-law casually said that it's just a baby daughter. Why do you want to make such a big fuss about it? She brought it to her husband and complained and all. Then it caused another level of family violence, actually physical, and she had to call the police. And for those time being put in down by the husband's side, she doesn't think that she has the ability to look after her daughter and herself. So she
Mm,
was in that struggling moment of self-doubt. She
mm,
doesn't think that she has the capacity to do that. And then she
mm,
came to our parenting sessions that everyone has different levels of struggling with the
mm.
parents-in-law, with the husband, with finance. Then she realized that she's not alone. We keep saying that we know your life is bad. So to everyone, not just her. We know your life at this stage is not easy, but it's not the worst. It could be even worse, but because you are trying. So from this point onwards, everything can only be better. Then she then had her mother coming to help her look after the daughter. She went back for her study, got herself a master, and they move on to a next stage of life that she's able to self-sustain herself. And her daughter is doing well. And her mother was very proud of, well, you know how people see divorced women in our culture? Her mother then was very proud that she was brave enough to make the decision to divorce.
Yes.
Yeah.
And another area which is so important because it was also through the Chinese parenting program that you realize there were many moms who actually have experienced family harm. And so that naturally move on to then you advocate for family harm within the Chinese community and Asian community as well. And
Mm.
again, those two things were not being heard of at the time within the mainstream society. They don't even know what's going on within our general like communities really. And again, you became the champions and advocating for them.
Yes and no. At the time, the mainstream was focusing about migrants, were focusing about education, were focusing about international students. So all these grassroots individual family stories were not picked up. And our people, whether it's language barrier, whether it's culture issue, they're not going to tell people. I
Mm,
remember how we had to talk this mom that if this happened again, you need to call the police. And
mm,
thanks to our friend Raymond, he's so reachable. And so our moms are comfortable to reach out to him
mm.
for non-family violence things like my neighbor put her rubbish on my driveway. Kind of.
Yeah.
But he's like so reachable. He even helped them with that kind of issues.
Oh wow. Yeah. So our friend Raymond at the time was a Asian police liaison, and so
Yeah.
he was the one of the people that also support a lot of migrants and Asian communities, of course. And that is through the work that you did, and then you get to have different kind of network, and so you can reach out to people and ask them, can they also help other people as well who needed help? So that's how you
Yeah.
get to know. Yeah.
He came to deliver the safety session at the time. There's no so much of scamming kind of thing happening at the time, but there's more about safety, burglary, and physical safety, those kind of sessions. I remember there was that period of time that you got a lot of people will grab your bags from your car.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
so and then because we are moms with babies, so your bag is probably the last thing you're gonna look at. You put the pram in the car, you lock the pram and lock your baby, whatever. Then you look at where is your bag. So that's the session he came, and then the moms reach out to him and say, "Can we have your contact?" And then they contact him for various different things.
Yeah, I hear you. So you're able to deliver safety workshop as well through support of Raymond. And I know at some stage he also provide safety workshop for elder adult as well because they can't
Mm,
speak English. So some people would just pretend they are someone else come and fix the house, and then they don't even know what's going on. And so there were a lot of issues in the Asian communities, and
mm,
through your platform, you were able to provide those informations to the moms and new migrants and all that, and just to make them be more alert about what's going on and how to
yeah.
protect themselves and their family. Yeah.
Yes. I think the important thing is, like you say, you have a platform, a trusted community relationship. That's what we have at the time. Me and Lenya keep saying that we don't have much. We even struggle to come up with our venue hire money, but we are also rich because we have this community trust. They come and say, here is what happens in my family or my friend's family. You often heard that something happened to my friend to start with and ended up, yeah, that was me actually. But for them to actually come up and say, this is what happened, it's a big thing. So there was the COVID time that I know our government has a lot of subsidies to support family, but the information are not distributed wide enough for various reasons, technology or lockdown, whatever. But we have WeChat. So still daily contact with different people. And then all of a sudden I got contact from this father, very hardworking family. And he reached out and say, this is so embarrassing, but I can't even afford the nappy for my baby. Can I get some help? And I was like, I'm not quite sure what food parcel covers, but let me ask. Then we did ask on different platform and that is there anyone can support with nappies? And there's organization say, oh, we do. We have food parcels to pick up on weekly basis. We have food, we have essentials. And then I went and said, I need 20 boxes for the family and maybe different sizes nappies for different families too. So we start with 20 and then expanded to 200 on weekly basis within couple of weeks time.
Wow.
For the first distributions, that 20 is easy. You know, you
Yes.
pick up, leave in the car and drive, even though Auckland is so wide that
Yeah.
and people are living so spreadly. I think we deliver as far as north as Albany
Wow.
and as south as Highland Park.
Wow.
But then at the time it was locked down. We're not doing anything. So I got my kids in my car with me and at least they're not locked in the house, but they see the family, they see the gratitude those people has towards getting some help. It was really mind changing for them. So they
Ah,
came home with more appreciation of the food on their table, with more appreciation of the clothes. They were all
ah.
very shocked that our families can't even afford nappies.
Wow. So they really learned something as well as a teenager to realize that there are people really struggle. And so in that comparison, they begin to appreciate what they have. And to be honest, that is just one of the many small little things that you done through Wellbeing Charitable Trust. There's a
Well,
lot more. Do you want to share?
well, in the food parcel space, because the demand grows too big, we were not able to do it ourselves. even the organization could not catch up with our needs. They actually arranged us to pick up from the supermarket who supported them and do the distribution, do the packaging, do the distribution ourselves, because they just don't have the capacity to help
Wow.
us out. At the time, I got my kids in, and every time when I said, right, we're going to pack the full parcels, everyone just have all different sort of excuses to run away. But then Auckland is too big to distribute by
Mm.
one family. We got the father who need the nappy to start with. He helps to cover his own area. So
Wow.
he came, pick up the number of the things that is needed, and then he did the delivery. And I know, well, petrol is not as expensive as now, but I asked him that, do you need petrol
Yeah.
money? Because
Yeah.
I can try and come up with some. And he goes, no, the full parcel is more than enough. So it's
Mm.
my turn to give back.
Wow.
So it's the forwarding the kindness
Yeah.
that from ourselves, our children, to his family, to his children, to wider
Mm.
families. It's not only start with Chinese families,
Mm.
then extended to different ethnicities. Even after certain time, all the food bank money are gone, exhausted.
Mm.
We do have Chinese moms support us on fortnightly basis for the next 2 weeks, that we have to tell others this is probably one of the last food parcel we have because we
Mm.
exhausted all the resources. We need to come up with something else. What else can we do for you guys? The forward planning conversations. But at that time, you're really grateful that people actually step up. They're not just looking at their own family. What I often heard is that I have enough. It's my turn to give back,
Wow.
whether it's my time, whether it's petrol, whether it's my children's labor. It helps. And it's just
Yeah.
like at the very time when you see the news around the world that people
Yeah.
are dying, people are suffering, this is something that you actually see the good in people.
Mm.
Mm.
Mm. And also, like what I love how organic it is, and also means that you have really connected with the communities who needed help, and you still carry on and continue to have those conversations instead of just a one-off food parcel, but it's a lot more than that. It really given even the opportunity to contribute in the end, whatever shape and form they can. You are creating a community, really, Eva.
Join the dots, maybe.
Yeah, like community mobilizations, you really mobilize the community because of your shared willingness to step in when the father reach out to help. It would be so easy just to say, I don't know, or you can contact this organization, but you didn't do that. You actually go and find out what's going on and then help them. I think there's another things like you see things enough to know if there is one father who reach out and ask for Nappy, there must be more like him who also needed help. And I know these families are from migrants family and quite often they reluctant to reach out because of shame as well as not wanting to see as a burden for the society unless they get to a very desperate situation. Not only they will be really considering getting support. And you have been working in the community for such a long time, you know that is just one of the tips of the icebergs. It must be more. That's why it grew from 20 something boxes to over 200. Because then the word of mouth get out and people understand there's support out there available. And that is when people realize that, okay, I don't have to suffer in silence,
Mm.
isn't it? Yeah.
I suppose this is one of the things that the advocacy happens, that because whatever the policymakers thinks that yes, we do have this so and so support in place, but how you plan or structure the support and between how it was actually really delivered at the grassroots level is very different.
Mm.
At the very time that we heard a lot of conversation goes, yes, there's support from different agencies, but when you go there, it's like going through an entire interrogation.
Mm.
So for them to come out was I need help is hard
Mm.
enough. For them to hold themselves together to experience through the whole interrogation.
Mm.
It's people can easily give up in any stage that, well, this is too much. I'll just give it up. But then
Mm.
give up doesn't help. It's just further bring the family into a even worse situation.
Yeah. And also, like what you say, there's a layer of challenges as well. And because they are family who kind of already in the system that are easily identifying needed support, but then there are families who needed support but not in the system.
Mm,
And those are the one that usually really desperate at time. They don't even know where to get help. That's why NGO like yourself who really embedded within the communities actually have done a lot of amazing work. Because when someone say they don't know where to get help, instead of thinking about big organizations, they think about you and the work that you have done. And that's why they reach out to you. And that is the beauty of, like NGO like yourself can make such a huge difference in advocating and also sharing information with them. Because many migrants might don't even know who Salvation Army is because our society and our collective culture is more relational. So when they don't know about a person in those organizations, they wouldn't even want to reach out. But it is through your reputations, people know that they can trust you, and that's why they reach out to you. So that's why people don't understand, regardless the size and shapes of the NGO, they all play a very different role in the society.
And I think the beauty of the COVID,
Yeah.
you see people come together, different ethnicity, different community group actually come together to support each other with those tiny bit of resources they have. It's not like we are a multi-million family business organization or whatsoever. It's just relying on our weekly salary and actually willing to help people. And that actually built a very strong relationship as well. And even before COVID,
Yeah.
the Muslim communities has their own food parcel delivered in different occasions and helping families and all that. But no one really talk about it. And then even before COVID, there's a lot of supports around for the families who needed help, who are less fortunate, who has experienced a lot. This community helping community. One of the reasons is they don't want to reach out and get help and got stigmatized that or stereotyped that this community is so and so. So they struggle within themselves, but they still help each other because they don't want people to have bad impression of their own community.
Exactly, because some community are already being discriminated by the nature. They became a lot more cautious even when they needed help. They might not
Mm.
even telling people they need the help because they already suffer enough. And so they don't want to be told off. And again, like because of that, you're also able to step in and help even further. I know you also help during emergency situation and event as well in Auckland. So that's another whole different story in itself.
There's also something that it tells you the gap. So during the Auckland anniversary flood, we quickly have post on Facebook. I mean, other people's post or release on the Facebook and then social media goes, here's so and so place for you to go if your family need help and all that. Then we were like, wow. So we go and get some help because we got families needs help. We go in there. So if you do beautiful place, people come in, drop in food, clothes, and people voluntarily look after or sort out all those donations and trying to give it to people who ever needed it. But then the place is great, the things are great, it's just not culturally helpful. So we were there, we were talking about what's needed, what we wanted to do. We got put aside because we are the minorities. We got put
Yeah.
aside, we got waiting. And I remember at the time that we got calls and we heard the people's story, how they need it, why they need it, and we get why, but those people who are supporting other people doesn't know. They
Mm,
don't get it. They don't see it. So the time you spend on the communication and the time that you try to bring people together.
mm,
But then thankfully, Sister Fatima has a good reputation. So we then ended up at school hall and then the May Road Primary School, the principal was very, very nice. She was like, oh, our school not started yet. You can have the hall as long as
yeah,
you
wonderful.
need it.
Yeah.
And soon as we know that it's already in the evenings. So we quickly went and set up, and it was raining. I remember it was raining and there was construction on sites. There's no lights, and this volunteer group, the Pacific Boys, bring us the mattress, the clothes, the beddings in the
Wow.
rain without the light
My God. There's
from,
another, yeah.
yeah, from the gate to the hall. And we didn't go home until, I think, because after everything set up,
Mm.
Sister Fatima and Jenny came and said, we can call the family to come. And then we were there waiting for the family to come and settle them. And we didn't get home until, 12, 12:30 in the
Wow.
midnight. But then the body-wise, it's exhausted because you were
I
out
bet.
all day. You were waiting. Occasionally, politicians came and say, there's a media coming. You guys need to be quiet for an hour. And then, I mean, in any time, any stages of the day, we could easily just say, right, we're out of here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know, the responsibilities you feel you have.
Mm.
So you stay, you wait, and you talk to people, you push for a space for the people.
Mm.
And went home at midnight, wet, smelly, because it's like physical work. But then you think it's worth it because you know there's a family
Mm.
that being able to stay in a dry and safe space.
And those people don't understand because not all culture are appropriate to have men and women stay in the same open space. And
Mm.
actually, there's many culture are not advocating for that, and people do not understand. And you're really trying to create a space where you're honoring people's dignity or respecting their culture and values. And I think that is very important than just think everybody will just come. And because quite often the place that where people can really feel safe is when they feel their dignity is being preserved. And I don't think quite often, like mainstream get it. And because you can have place and say we open for everybody, but when you're not showing value and dignity that you're going to restore even during disaster time, people just don't feel safe to even be part of it.
Mm.
And again, it's really through your advocacy work, Eva. Like I couldn't do what you do, to be honest. I think that, take out so much energy and patience and which I don't have it. And so I really respect that. Yeah.
I suppose it's got something to do with my upbringing. My grandmother looked after the neighbors' children as well. So it's kind of the thing that you were told when you were little that when you can, you work with others, you work for others. And that's why when I got called from Sister Fatima and said, let's go and check out the space, I was like, right, let me get myself ready and let's go. And that was a beautiful place that people really have the heart for the people. It's just not appropriate for. And then I suppose when you are in that space,
Mm,
you can feel that people are stressed out.
mm,
They lost their homes and the children are not used to the new space, temporary
mm,
space. And the families probably worry about the financial loss quietly.
mm,
And what are they going to do? How's their cars like, their furnitures, all those kind of things. They probably won't discuss in the public, but it
mm,
actually stress them out inside.
mm,
So at that very moment, how do we really respectfully bring
mm,
up the thing that, yes, this is very good, but this doesn't work for our people. Thank you very
mm.
much, but we need something else. Because you
Can
do
I?
have
Yeah,
that are very ignorant.
yeah.
They go, you have no place to stay, so why not just stay here and then take whatever you have? And well, yes, if the situation allows, I'm sure that people are not going to make such a big fuss.
Mm.
But it wasn't. We have this elderly grandma, so it doesn't work.
And the other thing people don't understand is, like, let's say if they really stays and go against their value and all that, they would then have to carry all that sense of guilt and also shame after that event. So
Mm,
because that is how they brought out their belief and values. And so it's not just they lost something and then they also lost their dignity, they lost the shame and they lost the values. And that's even harder to come back to. And that's
Mm.
when, like mental health issues became a problem because they can deal with, like losing financials or cars and all that. But quite often people cannot deal with is losing that dignity and values and belief as well. Advocating for small ethnic minority groups, and you still carry on and do that beautifully because you don't just do it, you also bring community together. That's why people reach out to you. You're able to reach out to other people because you have built a network that work for you. And then you also know people from different agencies that they also get to know what's the issue within the communities. And that's took a long time, but you never give out. Yeah.
I guess that was the feisty side of myself, that I enjoy telling people what is the gap and
Mm,
working towards to fill up the gap. That
mm,
and then knowing that, I think the most awarding or rewarding part is that you see the piece of work being completed
mm,
or progress,
mm,
and knowing that there's a lot of other people sharing the same value that are
mm.
willing to work with you. That you are not alone.
Can I say, that gave me an insight why you stay so humble. I think because you always work with the grassroots. So you see what's going out there and you were able to stay humble.
I guess one of the reasons is that you're surrounded with humble people. Sister Fatima has been around for 35 years. And the first time you meet, she will always be like, "How are you? How's your
Mm,
family house?" She's never going to tell you that I've been in the community for 35 years.
mm,
I'm so and so. How many families I help? She never said that.
wow,
And then Jenny never said that too.
mm,
So you kind of feel like it's not my place to say so.
mm,
And thinking about what they did, feel like I'm only at teenage stage, still developing. There's still a long way to
yeah,
go.
yeah.
I
But
mean,
that's what,
I think I'm very lucky that
yeah.
how many people, I mean, new starters got the support or the network that I have now. I mean, you've been working for over 20 years, more than that.
But I think the difference is, like many people will have give out because you don't get paid to do most of the work that you
Mm,
do, Eva. And so that is a very different and people don't understand that quite often you're doing it out of your own time and yet you have 4 children. It's not like you have nothing else to do. Right? You're really working with people, grassroots community during COVID-19. There's no halal food, and you're
mm.
advocating for that. You're also advocating for more culturally appropriate food, especially for elder people. And then you're also advocating then to have a safe space during emergency where people can go to and you are making changes because of that. Like the whole halal food become a lot more aware of for many organizations because of their advocacy and even a safe space. But because you keep asking and making people aware of these are the issue, and then now there is a awareness that this can become an issue if they didn't thought about it beforehand.
I remember one of the things I said in Hawaii Project
Mm,
was that I've got 4 kids myself, but with you guys, I feel like I've got 10 more kids
mm,
in
mm,
different ages. And that's the other thing that I keep saying is that in the migrant refugee families, you don't have your extended family here. So you have to build your own family.
mm,
Build your own family, grow your own family. And that's exactly what we're doing,
mm.
is to make the connections. And well, as a selfish mom, was hoping that one day this will come back to my daughters and sons, said that they'll get help when they need it.
Mm.
So none of us we can't say we won't have any time in our.
I think it just highlights something very important because what you essentially questioning is what kind of society do we want to build for our next generation, especially if my kids ever needing something. And it's very different from some of the parents only thinking about building wealth for their own kids. You're asking a much bigger questions because you can have money and all that, but what happens if the environment is not sustainable. And so your value driven is from that.
I know that you are speaking really highly about the work in myself, but I just want to say that we can't do it I mean, it struggles me in English that I have to always say I this, I that. That's very interesting. But the work is not done by one person. The work is always a collective work. We have hundreds
Mm,
and thousands of people that working in the grassroots level that tirelessly and support intergenerationally as
mm.
well. But they just not been seen and heard.